one of the hardest things to do is to try to discuss a long-term vision with short-sighted people. Have you ever had it happen? You're trying to have a conversation about what's going to happen over the next 5 or 10 years, and they're talking about what's going to happen over the next 5-10 minutes. And the conversation breaks down because I'm trying to share with you something that shall be, and you're talking about what's happening right now. And this is what makes it challenging, even in a church service like this, because God is speaking to us about eternity. He's talking to us about long-term things, and he's talking to you about things that are going to be eternal, things that are going to last, things that are going to be permanent. And you're thinking about where you're going to eat after church. And he's trying to have this deep conversation with you about the things that he's going to produce in your life. And you're struck with or stuck on the temporary things that you're going through. And what I'm trying to say is simply this, that when you're walking with God, God takes big steps. And you're thinking little steps. That God is focused on what you shall be, and you're focused on where you are right now. And so if you're going to walk with God, God said, I want you to take big steps. For somebody in this room, God said, for where I'm taking you, you're going to need to take big steps. Why am I saying that? Because for some of us, we know we're running out of time. We know we've wasted time. We've wasted opportunities. We've let things slip past us. We're looking at the calendar and we don't have a whole lot of time to play. That's why I don't really have a lot of time to play with people who want to sit around and gossip and have foolish conversations, because I'm thinking about long term. I'm trying to take big steps. I don't have time to take small steps with small-minded people. I got to get around some big-minded people. Are there any big-minded people who are ready to take big steps? I'm tired of taking baby steps. I'm tired of just plodding along little by little. God wants you to take some big steps. Look at somebody and say, take some big steps. Yeah, step out of your comfort zone and start that business and do some big steps. Step out of your comfort zone and dream big dreams, dream big ideas. God is trying to give you big ideas. He's trying to show you bigger things. He's trying to show you a greater vision. And you can't have greater vision if you're sitting around with short-sighted people. In our text, the Corinthian church, Paul begins to express some frustration with them, because although they were gifted, although they were talented, although they were anointed, they were also unstable, inconsistent, carnal, and short-sighted. And in the first verse, chapter 3, he says to them, I can't speak unto you as spiritual, because you're still carnal, fleshly. In other words, he said, there are things I want to share with you, but I can't, because you're still acting like babies. There's a deeper conversation I want to have with you. Now understand that Paul is the person who had been caught up into the third heaven, and he had seen and heard things that he couldn't even utter. So here he was saying to them, I have things I want to share with you about what God is going to do with his eternal kingdom and with his church and with his people. And I'm trying to have a real conversation and reveal spiritual things to you, but I can't, because you're still caught up in carnal stuff. You're still, so let's be more specific. He says specifically, you're still caught up in who's the greatest in the kingdom. He goes down and said, listen, you're talking about I'm of Paul and I'm of Apollos and I'm of Cephas. It harkens back to what Jesus went through when his disciples were here. Here he was facing the cross, and with the cross looming in the distance, and with him thinking about how he was going to lay down his life for all mankind and set men free, while he was preparing himself for the agony, the tragedy, and the pain and the horror of the cross, his disciples were sitting around talking about who's the greatest in the kingdom. And it was hard to have a conversation with these disciples even then, because while they were talking about who's going to sit on the right hand and who's going to sit on the left hand, Jesus was talking about something that was greater, that was something bigger, that was more important. So here we are in Corinthians, and we're still having this same conversation as they try to debate over who is my pastor. Some say I'm of Apollos, and some say that I'm of Paul. And Paul said, let me just correct your thinking right now. First of all, not me nor Apollos are the foundation. We're just contracted. We've been hired to lay the foundation, but I am not the foundation. And he said, because you're distracted with trying to figure out who is the greatest in the kingdom, you're taking away from the greater conversation about the kingdom of God. The greater issue before us, beloved of God, is kingdom building.